I'm here today with Ray Caruso, legendary fossil shark tooth hunter. Ray, tell us a little bit about what got you into this business.
I'd be happy to. We're here at the Sawdust Festival hawking sawdust jewelry, necklaces that we made out of shark teeth that we dug up. Most of these teeth we dug up outside of Bakersfield, California. I own the property there where we dig up teeth, but we used to dig up lots of teeth about 20 miles from here back in the 90s. We would go on to building sites on Sundays when they weren't working and walk around looking for mostly petrified whalebone, because if you discover petrified whalebone, which is a relatively common fossil, you can find fossil shark teeth because they really enjoyed eating the whales. And so I would often find a little pile of petrified whalebone, and then I would start digging, and once in a while I would be surprised to find a little tooth or a big tooth. I've found several, maybe 20 megalodons in Orange County. I have more now from Bakersfield simply because because I own the property, I can use power tools and tractors, and we have a bulldozer come in once in a while and scrape. But what we like to do, if the tooth is broken, is make jewelry out of it. That's what I do. Now, if the tooth still has the root on it, sometimes we make jewelry out of it, but often I just leave it in the rock. This is a piece of Bakersfield, and you can see pieces of petrified whalebone surrounding this megalodon tooth. This is a middling-sized megalodon. The megalodon teeth can get over 7 inches. I've seen 7-inch megalodon teeth. I've never found a 7-inch megalodon tooth, but I would like to. They are enormous, and there are only about 8 of them in the world out of many thousands of megalodon teeth that have been found. The biggest I have found is just over 6 inches, which was still massive. Now, Bakersfield, we've come close. I have several that are over about 5.5 inches, but we're still even waiting to find that 6-incher. Now, with fossil shark teeth, for collectors, it's really important that they be perfect. A lot of the times when you find a megalodon tooth, they bit violently down onto whalebone all those millions of years ago, so we find many broken ones or chipped, especially the tips when they bit down. But if you once in a while turn over that perfect meg tooth, then the collectors really want it. They want that big tooth that has every serration and a perfect tip, and the root has no reconstruction on it. And so we're constantly searching for that perfect tooth. But in the meantime, we're digging up lots of smaller jewelry grade teeth. We're dealers at the Tucson Rock Gem and Mineral Show, where we have a unique niche because we're the only ones from California who have fossil shark teeth. Most of the people who have shark teeth, well, most of them are from Morocco, where there are tons of them in the phosphate mines. But back east, you have a lot of people who make a living diving for megalodon teeth. They comb the rivers, and there's a shelf off North Carolina, and there are beaches off Florida where you can dive for megalodon teeth and do very well. Our teeth command a premium because we find far fewer, and they're very difficult to get. I had a diver friend from North Carolina come to the quarry, and he swung the pick for about 20 minutes, threw it down, and said, "It's all yours." But I had a friend come and swing the pick for 20 minutes, a friend from Laguna, and turned over a megalodon tooth with a few swings of the pick. So there's a certain amount of luck involved. There's a lot of hard work, but there is a certain amount of luck.
That's amazing. So, how many acres of land is your excavation site?
Well, the actual site, the property is 54 acres. And I have 3 separate holes in the ground. I wouldn't call it a quarry because the only thing in it are shark teeth. And we're chasing this layer of fossils into the hillside looking for fossils. My next door neighbor, he has 2,000 acres and far more shark teeth than I do on his property, but he don't care. He just cares about his cows and NASCAR and beer. That's all he cares about. So he leaves, his cows are on my property and his teeth are on his property. It's just, he's a good neighbor. But I also engrave megalodon teeth. I do artwork. And these are not from Bakersfield, but these were in the South Pacific. They were looking for manganese nodules in about 800 feet of water a couple decades ago. And so these teeth are white. They come out of a limestone layer, so I'm able to polish and engrave them because I like making art. These are never specimen quality teeth. There are no serrations, and the roots are all chewed up. You wouldn't take a specimen quality tooth, grind it, polish it, and engrave it, because you'll just decrease the value of the thing when you do that. But I like working on these simply because they're kind of ratty anyway. So.
What inspired you to kind of start even engraving them in the first place?
Well, I've always done scrimshaw. I used to work, before it became illegal in California in 2014, I used to go up to the Arctic and collect woolly mammoth tusks. I had a friend who had a light plane in Fairbanks, and we would fly out of Fairbanks and land on beaches and on gravel bars in the rivers. And then we would search for Pleistocene ivory, which is, it's only about 30,000 years old, 40,000 years old. And when it erodes out of the banks, it's just beautiful. It's just like modern ivory, only stained from mineral coloration, but it's been frozen. I mean, I walked the beach right about on the Arctic Circle, and I saw, me and this Inuit guy saw a 100-pound woolly mammoth tusk sitting on the beach like 100 yards in front of us. But that's the kind of stuff I used to cut up and polish and do scrimshaw on, because scrimshaw traditionally was done on ivory. Sperm whale teeth, walrus tusks and stuff. The whalers did it. And I started doing it at this show 46 years ago, and I found out people would buy it. And so I just kept doing it. And so I'm actually a professional scrimshander. The shark teeth were a hobby that just really ballooned out of control. You know, it was just, we just got so excited when we started finding them, we just wanted to keep finding them. And so having our own property is nice, because security's not going to drive up and ask what you're doing. You know, they're not going to chase you off, you know, and so if somebody's out there digging, they're at my behest. So we really enjoy it. My wife, she loves to dig up shark teeth. Our son, he has a trailer on the property, and he really loves to dig up shark teeth. And so I wouldn't say it's a hobby, simply because we dig up so many, we're in a position where we have to sell them. And so we wholesale. We send them all over the world out of the Tucson Rock, Gem, and Mineral Show. We've sent them to every continent, and they're beautiful. They call the area in Bakersfield Sharktooth Hill. The original Sharktooth Hill is actually a federal monument. You can see it from the quarry, but you can't dig there. It's ancient diggings on there. But it's a unique fossil location and world famous, especially among sharktooth collectors. You mentioned Sharktooth Hill, they know it's Bakersfield. You know, so.
They know where to find it.
Oh,
That's
they know
awesome.
where to find it, but they also know that you can't get access. You know, there is a public dig there that you can pay. The guy who sold me my quarries kept a small quarry where he does have people come out and dig, but I've got more.
What was your first reaction when you found your first megalodon tooth?
Oh, I remember the first time I found a half megalodon tooth out in North Toro up on a hill. I thought I had a whole one, and I was so excited. I could see it sitting there on the ground like a fin sticking out of the earth, and I ran over and picked it up, and it was a perfect half, just sitting on the ground. I picked it up expecting to see a whole tooth, and it was a half a tooth. But then a couple years later, I was with a friend out in just past Lake Mission Viejo, and he showed me how to screen. He was a sculptor in town, Terry, and he had a little screen, and he said, if you throw the dirt in the screen and shake it, you could see things easier. And so I took a couple shovelfuls of dirt, and I shook the screen, and there was a 4-inch megalodon in it after the dirt fell out. And I thought something happened to me. I felt like I was suddenly in a dream, and I didn't feel like what was happening was real. It just altered my sense of reality so intimately that I kept picking it up, putting it in my pocket, taking it out of my pocket, looking at it, putting it in my pocket, and finally I told my wife, I said, we have to go home. Because I just couldn't believe what had just happened, and I wouldn't accept it until I was in my own home looking at this thing. And I went on and found bigger and nicer ones over the years, but that first one probably was the most life-altering, when I saw that tooth in the screen, just sitting there, like plain as can be. It's so very real. There's just no denying what's happening when you're seeing one. Now, since then, I've found megalodon teeth in Florida. I've found them in Baja. I've found lots of them around in Orange County in different locations. But Bakersfield is where we concentrate our efforts.
What's been the coolest find you've had so far?
The coolest find? I've found some pretty nice megalodon teeth. But in terms of unusual finds, a couple years ago I found a megalodon tooth, a really nice one, And then about a foot away, I found this other tooth, and I went, well, what the hell is it? I had no idea what it was. And it turned out to be a meropus. Now, a meropus is no big deal, but it's not common in Bakersfield. It's like a camel-like creature, from 15 million years ago. But it was such a weird-looking tooth, and I had no idea what it was. So I think that was unusual. I mean, it wasn't huge, but it was just so different. My wife found a rhino tooth there once. It's like these are oddities for Bakersfield. Most of it is marine mammal. It's a layer of marine mammal bone with teeth interspersed in there. Whale teeth, desmostylus teeth are really neat. They're an ocean-going hippopotamus-like creature that went extinct 5 million years ago, and the teeth are massive. They're like the size of your fist, all these cemented columns together. And what's unusual about the desmostylus is it's a marine mammal family that totally went extinct. There are just no relatives of this family today. It's like a very unusual animal. And I get very excited when I find one of those. And they're about as rare as the megalodon teeth there.
So cool. So how can people, get their hands on one of these shark teeth for themselves?
Well, if you like shark tooth necklaces, we sell a lot of them here at the Sawdust Festival. My wife does wrapping, with silver and gold. Our son does work with them as well. But when I do them, I like to take a broken one and make a setting for it. And that way I feel like I'm salvaging the nicest part of the tooth and turning it into a really nice piece of jewelry. So I'll do gold and silver. I solder both.
I love it. It looks great.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you so much for being on FabTV.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming by.
Perfect.